Kia ora koutou katoa. Yes, indeed, it is time for the Active Live here in the live room. We have the one and only Comf today. Kia ora.
Kia ora, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on this show today. We're so excited to have you here, especially because today is the day that your track Power is released. Is that correct?
That is it, yeah.
Yay.
Power with Toby Lamar on saxophone.
Amazing. Yes, we have Toby Lamar coming in very, very soon to join you on that track, so we'll wait for that one with bated breath. But until then, tell us about the process behind this track. I say process specifically because I know that is the name of the EP that this track is coming off. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is, yeah. So the EP is called Process, and this is the lead single and the last track in the EP. Basically, all of these songs were like constructed during the process of me making another bigger work, and I recognized that they didn't fit like texturally within the sounds of the other EPs. So I was like, right, what I'm going to do is these have their own merit. Like I want to give them their own space and like give them room to breathe, and also allow it to show like the development of where the kind of project is going and where the music is going. And Power in particular I think I just liked messing with not having a structure and just kind of letting things flow and kind of see how it goes from there, and put lyrics and put saxophone and put things in where they fit.
That's an intriguing thought because it's the song we were lucky enough to premiere on the Amplifier show.
Thank you for that.
No,
Yeah.
thank you for offering us the opportunity. But the song is crazy, for lack of a better word. Like it's a very interesting composition. I would love to talk about your thoughts behind, or the intentions behind, rather, I should say, the sounds you use, because there's so many different sounds, like just straight up sounds going on.
Yeah. I think I've just become a bit of a maximalist in terms of what I like sound wise, but I think that most of it is a kind of, I have like a really sort of basic demo introduction of things, which is normally really low key and quite chill, and then I add a lot of like aggressive elements and give that sort of like peaks and flows and like peaks and troughs and that sort of thing. And I like that kind of the music to represent the sound of the lyrics and the sound of the, like the tone of the lyrics as well. So I think I try and give them as much of a relationship as I can while also creating them in like parallel to each other, because the vocals always seem to kind of fit smoothly over top of like a garish track. And I think I kind of, I don't know, I think that's part of what I enjoy out of it, is having that like contrast and dynamics and sound and tonality.
It's an interesting thought that the contrast in it is so specific. I think a particular part that I find most contrasting anyway, from my opinion anyway, is the sample that you use, the power sample. Kind of reminds me a bit of, not the song obviously, but the sample itself reminds me a bit of that Aldous Harding sample where she also uses young children in a really juxtaposing way. What was the intention behind that?
Well, actually, originally that I'm going to spoil this, I guess, but it's kind of entertaining. I had downloaded a bunch of like just random sample packs and like little snippets and things that I liked, and one of the ones was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sounds. And that's from like the old like 80s or 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, of them just going power. And I've, I use that as like the basis of what am I going to write the song about. It's about like, relinquishing and giving power, and, giving and taking it, and how it works in a relationship and that kind of dynamic as well. So, yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Haven't thought about those guys in a while.
Neither, to be honest. I was stoked to have found it.
Pulling them back. That's really cool. And so getting to the lyrics with this specific track, What was the inspiration? You mentioned just now about relinquishing power. Was there a personal journey behind it, or was this something that you were inspired through other means?
I think it's both a personal journey and sort of like extraneous kind of like elements to it as well. Because like part of it is just the idea of like being in a relationship, or being in like a sort of anything with, whether you have friends or partners or anything, and having that dynamic of people who don't like to have their power taken away from them, and they want to feel like they're in control of the situation, and they determine when things happen and how they happen, etc. And it's kind of that balance of, how much of yourself you give away to that power, and how much of yourself you want to keep and kind of express, and feel like you've got your own sort of freedom and your own opportunities as well.
That's very exciting. Speaking of which, should we hear a track from you now?
Yeah, sure.
Is Power going to be the first track we hear?
Power is not going to be the first track.
Oh,
the first track.
Wait with that.
is A24,
A24.
which is named because I wrote like 5 or 6 songs in a row that just sounded like they belonged on some various description of an A24 movie. And I was like, okay, we're just going to stick with this. I've got no better plans.
I was going to say, I feel like that's a brand we know.
Yeah, that is indeed. But it just, I dabbled with changing it, and then I decided that it was really the most appropriate anyway, because that was what it was, that was kind of what it was created with.
I'm very excited to
But
hear
yeah.
it. Let us, show us the track.
Not for you though. Baby, I've been changing. Not for you though. Open my wounds the day you chose to. Pick and heal scars, call it deja vu. Got me using my own 2 hands. Guess I'm my only fan, but I ain't got no plan. Damn. I tell myself that it's gonna be okay. You know you're really looking pretty, but I ain't changing for a day. And I tell myself that it's gonna be alright. Not after something tonight. I don't wanna dim the lights, yeah. Baby, I've been changing. Not for you though. For you though. I'm trying to change just for me, but I guess I'll let you see that I can change, I can change. I'm trying to live happily, but this ain't no fantasy that I can change, I can change. So I will change, I will change, I will change. I will change. I will change.
Wow, thank you for that. That was a crazy song. Gosh, you are. I can't get over the, um, for again lack of a better word, the powerful, electronic sounds. I don't know what do you call it. Like, what's your description for the sounds you use?
I don't know. It's done kind of through a mix of things, cause like, I basically anything that I find, I pretty much don't like it to sound how it was when I first found it. So it ends up becoming like this enormous manipulation of basically turning something that was once normal into a completely obscure, like, out of it sort of sound. Um, I don't know how I would place it though, because I think they're just sounds that for whatever reason I like, and somehow they match, and I like to expand on what I can do and sort of push it out. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's you can definitely hear the passion you have within the songs, which I think it's so specific to you. You've got such a unique sound. Tell us about your inspirations and how you kind of began creating in this way, because I know you've worked in different genres, for lack of a better word, throughout your life.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the weird thing for me was that I felt when I first started doing stuff, it was all kind of like guitar based. I was I was very picky. I didn't like playing major or minor chords, and I was like, I've got to learn how to play all these weird guitar chords because I don't know how to do theory, and we're just going to try it and see what works and what doesn't. But I think the thing that's like stayed throughout my process is always like doing things that I don't understand to like try and push my sense of understanding. So all of these things are kind of always like a work in progress for me, because I want to just like push out further from what it is already, and like kind of think about what it could be. But yeah, I've inspirations wise, there's plenty of inspirations. I listen to a lot of different things. So I mean, James Blake is kind of the easy stigma, but then I also enjoy a bit of noise stuff and a bit of any sort of pop music as well. I've been really into recently. It kind of just everything kind of amalgamates itself into what that track what the tracks are.
You can definitely hear that as those. You can hear the James Blake influence. I hear a bit of PC music myself. A little bit of.
Yeah.
You could even say there's a bit of that noise that you get from people like Arca and that kind of sound as well.
I like a lot of like Arca and Ben Frost and that kind of thing as well. Like even just like noise music of that kind of tonality and description. Yeah, less so like organized sound and more just a bit of a barrage, I guess.
A barrage. I like that. That can be your genre, I'm going to say.
Barrage of sound.
Barrage of sound. So you were saying that the songs that you've taken for this Process EP have come from other EPs, and you decided they weren't quite a good fit for those. Tell us about the other EPs you've got coming.
Yeah, so at the start of this year, prior to the whole COVID situation, I was actually going to release them this year, and I had 3 EPs that were called the Texture Trio, and they were water, clay, and ceramic, and it was kind of detailing the process of like starting with nothing and like creating this refined product. And so each of them were kind of going to fit the texture of the material. But the difficulty was obviously when everything kind of hit and life just got thrown backwards. I found that I had a bunch of tracks that didn't really fit what was going on for that, but were kind of perfect songs. And I was like, well, not perfect, but you know what I mean? Like they were like, worthy of development. And I was like, I want to give these a chance to shine and not let it sort of corrupt, I guess, what the aim is for the other EPs that I'm trying to do as well.
That is particularly exciting. I like the water to ceramic element there. I'm very intrigued to see how you encapsulate the textures into the textures of sound. How do you define the texture of what water sounds like?
That's a good question. I think there's a lot of things to it, and I think obviously the difficulty is that sort of stuff is always open to interpretation. But for me, I think there's like there's those mixtures of like soft running flowing water, and then you've got kind of like quicker lakes and those sorts of not lakes, creeks and that sort of thing. So there's like a lot of dynamic changes, but it's kind of an overarching like could be smooth, could be dangerous, could be so there's like that's kind of why I liked the use of these elements in particular, is because it's like detailing the process of creating a ceramic or like a final artwork, but you have to go through these steps and these processes to get there, and each of those steps comes with their own sort of gripes and their own elements to it as well. But yeah,
that's beautiful. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see, because I know you've been working with a visual artist called Alice West for that as well. How are the visuals tying into that textural element that you're speaking of?
Yeah, so she has done the photos for both the EP and the cover of the cover of Power and the EP, and we had been working on some stuff to do the covers for this Textures Trio as well. But this basically it's accompanied by like this EP process is accompanied by like a full visual element. So Alice West has done all the visuals for this. It's all like chopped and screwed handycam footage that she was kind of like kind of basically taken from what I've given her, and we had a sort of working relationship with that as well. Because I sent her an early mix of these songs, and she made a video recording for it. And then about 2 weeks later, I sent her the finals, and it was completely different. And she was like, "Okay, we're gonna have to redo this." Like, but yeah, it's just kind of like detailing her process in and out of pandemic and COVID and all those sorts of things as well. But like, I basically gave her the idea of, I want you to have all these handycam footage of nothing, like of just like normal things happening, people living about their daily lives. There's these beautiful shots of through a car window of like just windscreen wipers going through a car wash and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's just very normal things, but placed in different contexts. And that's kind of what I wanted to reappropriate with my stuff as well, is that like, the vocals are kind of more soulful, but they're reappropriated into a different kind of element and way of going about it. Yeah.
That's lovely, and it fits so well with the repurposing of that textural element into an oral element that you were speaking of earlier. It all seems to tie together. That's very cool. So continuing with this process EP and the visuals for that, will there be any visuals at your show?
Yeah. So we're doing a show next Saturday at Thistle Hall, like the actual hall space upstairs, and we've got visual components for both. So one of our artists at Dust Supply, Belfagor, has rigged up visuals for the Earl Green album release, so the visuals for that. And then obviously the Comf EP comes with full visuals from Alice as well. So those will be displayed. It's going to be the first time to have like a full experience of everything that's kind of going on.
That is so exciting. We'll get more into the nitty-gritty about that in a second, but tell us more about Dust Supply, because I know that you're quite close to the management there, are we not?
Yeah, so I was a roundabout way.
Out of the
roundabout
bag.
way, yeah. So I run a label with a really good friend of mine, and he makes music under Belfagor, and obviously I make music under Comf. We've been running it for a few years now, and just trying to give a platform to artists and allow them to kind of, exceed and do the best that they can do, and give them that best opportunity for that sort of stepping stone. So that's kind of our main sort of agenda, really, is just to kind of help where we can to push musicians further and give them that kind of development and any support that they need.
That's awesome. How have you found that running that label has influenced your own work and your own projects?
It's been really important. It's been really, really important. Because we work on a lot of different stuff as well. Like, we're working with, Chris CK, a rapper. We're working with Kai.com. Now we're doing the Earl Green stuff. There's a lot of, like, different elements that come into it. And so, we've each kind of tried producing for each other and making sort of like a, working relationship in that sense. So I learn a lot from the other people that I'm with as well and that I'm looking after. I think everyone has everything to learn from others. It's just about, like, exercising that interaction.
It's nice that you have such a collaborative group of people to work with and involved in the label. Are they people?
Yeah.
Did you find those sorts of people organically, or how did you come about the artists that you're representing?
Mostly organically. I've known Chris for probably half a decade now, because he opened for one of our shows back when I was playing like guitar music. He closed one of our shows actually back when Peace Stew was in Wellington, which he's now left since. And Kai I've known for probably about 5 or so years as well, because he worked for Salient back in the day, the student magazine for Victoria. But yeah, so I've known them for a while, and then it's just kind of become the situation where they go, we want to do something, we want to kind of take it further, we want to, sort of pursue and work on that stuff. And that's kind of where we've jumped in and said, all right, well, let's help you with like distribution, let's help you with promo, whatever you need, mixing, support with production, all that sort of stuff. And Toby I've known for 8, almost 10 years probably, actually. Yeah, probably about 10 years. So we've been making music in all sorts of, we were both in jazz band together back in high school. I was tenor 2, he was tenor 1, because he's a far better sax player than I ever was. So we've been making music forever. So a lot of it's organic, but we do have some people who've reached out to us over the course of the time as well.
That is very exciting. So I want to hear a bit more from Toby very, very soon, but shall we have another track for now?
Yeah, all right, let's do it.
What have you got up for us next?
This is a track called Peak. and it was originally named something else, but it's now called Peak because it became the bane of my existence trying to mix this thing. So that was the absolute upper limit of my mental psyche about 3 weeks ago trying to put this together.
I love it. And you're playing all the tracks you're playing today, just to clarify, are from the Process EP?
Yes, yeah. So they're all from the Process EP, and they'll all be displayed in their full potential later on this next week.
Ooh, stay tuned for that. Yes, that EP, just for those who aren't in the know, is going to be released on the 30th of October. Is that correct?
That is indeed correct. So it's out on the 30th, as well as the first Earl Green single, This Is a Goat's Dream.
Ooh.
So we're getting a lot of mahi done at the moment.
It's all going for Dust Supply. That's really exciting. And yeah, we'll hear from Earl Green very, very soon.
Awesome.
But
All right.
for now, play us Peak.
Should we do it? I can't say I wanna stay just for the night, but I don't wanna do it one more time. Well, I can't say I wanna stay just for the night, but I don't wanna do it one more time. Too scared to write it, don't wanna try it. A name on paper means you can't like it. Oh, I got no patience when I'm mistaken, when words fly around like they couldn't hurt, but you hurt me the way I need. I just can't see scars it leaves. You hurt me the way that I need. I just can't see the scars you leave. You hurt me the way that I need. I just can't see the scars you leave. You're breaking it off, you're turning me down, you're twisting around, making me drown. You're breaking it off, you're turning me down, you're twisted around, making me drown. You're breaking it down. You tell me what to do with you, 'cause I just don't like to choose. And I don't easily bruise, but I just need to get a clue. You tell me what to do with you, 'cause I just don't like to choose. I don't easily bruise, but I just need to get a clue.
kind of transitioned halfway through, didn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you for that. So we now have a Toby next to you. Kia ora, Toby. Thank you for joining us.
We're going to take this mic off so that we can share that, because we had not anticipated this.
Surprise. So together you make Earl Green, is that correct?
Yeah, like Earl Green's like my music that jazz has mixed, so it wouldn't exist without jazz. Basically, that's what Earl Green is.
That's awesome. So tell us about how that project kind of came together for you. So I know, Toby, you've been in Homicide, who've been featured on the station quite heavily recently, and a whole bunch of other awesome bands around town. So how did you decide to finally start on that solo project yourself?
Yeah, I guess like what Jazz was saying, the COVID era has sort of upended everyone's musical projects and just like art in general, I guess. So it's sort of like a weird golden era for bedroom artists and people with a laptop and Logic cracked from Pirate Bay and stuff. not me. Yeah, so I guess like I really wanted to actually hone my skills and get it out there, seeing as what an opportunity to make music, basically. And Jazz kindly offered to suss me out.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So you two are playing together at this gig at Thistle Hall that we were talking about earlier. Is that correct?
So it's going to be the premiere of the album that we've been working on. So there's 6 tracks to it, and I think the way that the nice way to put it is that Toby paints the picture and I put the frame on it. So it's he's done all the music and it's all incredible, and then I get a handle of it and go, right, how can we make this noisy? How can we make this messy? Because Toby is very, very polished and in the best kind of way. But sometimes I just like the sound of a hand dryer in a song. There is one. And there's a guy, I don't know. I think we had a lot of fun with it, as well as it being like a very intensive process, because there's a lot to it in terms of what's being made and the content to try and work around and kind of work out what's needed to like produce and finish it. But then also, we've put in little sounds in there, like things that you'd never notice, but just little funny tidbits. Because it's part of the fun of it, like you like to find out, and people like to know what something is, and it's the same as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles discovery. It's exciting, it's funny, it's a little bit silly, and it's you're not having too much fun.
That is awesome. So how do you find separating producing? Because obviously it sounds like similar elements go into both projects in terms of the production, but how do you separate the kind of process there between producing for people and with people like you are with Toby and the Earl Green project and your own personal Comf project?
That's a really good question. I think for me, I kind of can't stop myself, so I'll just do whatever I want and kind of see how that goes. And I think it's really good to have projects to work on with other people where they can go, I kind of want it to sound like this, or they come to you with something that's finished and say, can you make this sound more loud or extravagant, or do this or that to it, rather than kind of having I start from scratch and I make everything, and so therefore I kind of know exactly where I want it to go. And it's really interesting, because I think we've both found that the tracks haven't really gone where we've expected them to in a number of like directions, but that's like part of the fun of it, is having Toby's creative genius on the keys and everything else like that, which is stuff that I could never have a handle on, and then kind of putting that in with stuff that I know and am familiar with.
That is awesome. Gosh, I'm so looking forward to seeing this Earl Green project come to fruition. So just to reiterate all the details, the Earl Green project is playing out, I should say, at Thistle Hall on the 24th, along with the Comf project?
Yes.
Amazing. And when can we expect the actual release date?
For the Earl Green stuff?
Yeah.
I got one single coming out the 30th of October, pre-Halloween.
Ah.
And that's the same day as the Comf EP. And then, is it 13th of November? 20th. 1 week later, 20th of November, for my album. Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, that is so exciting. So we'll keep our eyes and ears peeled for that. But for now, would you like to play us your final track for the day?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it.
We would love to hear it. Now, this is one that you guys may have heard on Radioactive, as we were lucky enough, as I mentioned earlier, to premiere this on the Amplifier show. This is your track Power, correct?
Indeed.
And you have the lovely Toby featuring on the saxophone. I'm very
Please
excited.
do.
Very excited to see this go.
All right. We good?
We good.
You don't like to be without. You don't like to be without. You don't like to be without. And I tell myself that I'm cool with that. Rescind my rights and tell myself I'm fine. Being left behind, 'cause I won't take what's mine. You don't like to be without. And I tell myself that I'm cool with that. Rescind my rights, oh, tell myself I'm fine. Then get left behind, 'cause I won't take what's mine. So give you power, give you strength to look past what's happened, to look to what's next. So I'll give you power, and I'll give you breath to look past what's happened, and to look to what's next.
What an ending to that track. That's amazing. Kia ora, thank you so much for joining us in this active live room today. We have had Toby and Comf joining us in today. And kia ora and thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.
It's
Appreciate
been lovely.
it.
Check them out. They're going to be at Thistle Hall on the 24th, and the EP is coming out on the 30th of October.
Yeah.
Kia kaha.